I am going to give you guys my personal opinion on my likes, my dislikes, and general overview of this truck. So without further ado, let's dive in. This is the 2022 model year Ram 2500 Bighorn Crew Cab 4x4. This truck comes with a 6.4 liter Hemi V8, an 8-speed automatic transmission. It has the 373 axle ratio, and some of the optional equipment specifically purchased for this truck are the premium cloth bucket seats, the customer preferred package 2GZ, protection group, tow hooks, snow chief group, anti-spin rear axle, auxiliary switches, clearance lamps, transfer case skid plate, sports appearance package, which comes with painted front and rear bumper, black interior accents, the level C equipment group, which comes with exterior 115 volt AC outlet, second row in-floor storage bins, heated front seats, rear power sliding window, AC with dual zone auto temperature control, 8-way power adjustable driver seat, front fog lamps, heated steering wheel mounted audio controls, Park Sense front and rear park assist system, remote start, front and rear rubber floor mats by Mopar, and LED bed lighting. So as this truck is spec'd out with all its options, it has a max payload capacity of 3,230 pounds, as well as max towing capacity of 14,260 pounds. For the inside, you basically get these cloth seats. I went with black, so everything is black. Dash seats, headliner, which I really like in this truck. I do like the cloth seats. I know the leather ones are nice, but I just find them to be comfy and they don't get mega hot, you know, in the summer or super cold in the winter, you know, like you do with the leather ones. I guess that's kind of where more of the heated and ventilation options came in. But this truck does have heated seats, so they warm up very nicely. Moving on into the inside, you know, you do get some, and I don't know if it's exactly leather, it's probably more of like a vinyl leather, but you do get the vinyl leather for the center console covering, as well as the steering wheel, and then everything else, you know, as far as the dash, the door panels, you know, and everything else is more of like a hard shell black plastic. In general, you know, both on driver and passenger, you get some decent storage, you know, in the door area there, as well as, you know, some good storage, you know, in the front console, which I will show you guys later. And then you guys get, you know, kind of two storage compartments, you know, up in the front area, as well as some, you know, sunglass storage, you know, right there. Moving into the back seat, and it's a little harder to see because I have two car seats in here right now, but you know, center fold, two cup holders, you know, pretty standard, you know, in this, which I think is pretty nice. The seats, you know, do have storage both under the driver side and passenger side rear bench seat, so you can actually fold these up, and there are little storage bins in there that you can use, as well as, and it's kind of hard to see, but there's this little kind of tri-fold plastic mat with some I would say carpeted material on there, and you can fold the seats and you can actually lay that across the back, so you have completely flat storage for, you know, putting in boxes. In addition to the cup holders and storages that you guys get, you know, you guys do have floor cup holders, as well as two more cup holders back here. You have control of your own vents in the back, as well as some USB, in addition to a 115 volt AC 400 watt power adapter. So for like a laptop, a tablet, or something like that, you guys can plug in there, which is definitely nice. With a lot of the Ram trucks and the Ram HD trucks, one of my most favorite features that I've kind of seen over the years in the back is, I'll call it the rum runner storage or whatever, but it is the storage bin that is in the floor underneath the mats. And what I mean by that is, if you flip up the plastic mat on both the driver and passenger side, you guys get these little storage boxes right here, which are pretty handy and convenient. You know, you guys can throw some tow straps in there, some fluids, you know, whatever you want. They're definitely handy. And they're kind of cool because they're a little bit hidden and they are concealed. And for me, I use them a ton, mainly because I can't get to the storage bins under the seats because I have the car seats. And in order to do that, I'd have to yank the car seat out, which is a big you know, pain in the butt. So to have, you know, a little bit of storage, you know, under here on both sides is absolutely perfect. Moving on to the back of the truck, it has the soft tailgate open. I do have lights that are in the back. What I will say is with the LED lights, they are nice, and at nighttime they light up this back area a lot better. I think it would actually be cool for manufacturers when they put in these LED lights is if they not just put a set up front, but they also put a set in the back, you know, all the way at the opposite end of the box. So 4 lights in total. I think it would just light it up a lot nicer, especially if you have like an aftermarket or a factory like tonneau cover on there. It just gives a little bit more light visibility in there, but that's just my 2 cents in my opinion. Anyway, it's pretty cool. There's a little on-off switch for the light right here, so I could turn them on-off from the back. In addition, I also have a plug in the bed of the truck. I have access to control that plug from in the cab. So unless I push a button in cab, that will not work. So I will have to manually push that button, and then it will send active power to that port. So like number 1 for this truck is the infotainment system. This thing is pretty sweet. And then obviously too, on the dash, you have the smaller display, and between both of these, they are really, really sweet. So what I like most about this is how customizable it is to your needs. You have the option to basically change what displays in all 4 corners on the right side, where it kind of shows my fuel range, the clock and time at the top, even the odometer display at the bottom. You guys can get, you know, as customizable with those aspects of the display as you would like. And then moving along over into the display on the center, obviously you can connect it to your Apple CarPlay, so that way, you know, you can connect your phone, which is awesome for maps, GPS, music, etc. You know, but the basic features that it offers is pretty cool in general. You know, you can kind of set up your displays and customize it to your liking for both, you know, comfort and climate control on the inside, as well as just quick features. One of the ones that I like, especially with trailering and just things in general, but if you're cruising at a low speed, it's actually kind of cool. You can actually hit the rear camera button, and as you're driving along, you can kind of see what is behind you while cruising slowly. In general, I think it's a really, really nice infotainment system. It gives you lots and lots of options for, you know, things that you guys can adjust. So definitely a big, big win in my opinion. My first dislike about this vehicle is the shifter. This dial shifter right here, I absolutely dislike. I would probably say for the longest time when I first got this truck, I was reaching up here where the shifter should be to pull down the hand lever shifter, and obviously nothing was there, you know, and so it took some time getting used to the dial. You know, obviously I don't think much about it now as I drive the truck, but just because to me it is an iconic feature of a truck to have that hand lever shifter, to go from that to this, you know, I dislike, and I thought maybe this would grow on me over time, and it definitely hasn't. So I would say that is a big lose. My second like for this truck is the storage console that it offers if you get it with the 5th seat option. So when you get this truck, if you get it so it doesn't have the bench seat up front, basically get this console space right here. So both on driver and passenger side, there's a slot right here. If you have a folder or papers or whatever, you can kind of tuck them in. It definitely has come in handy with me in the past. That's the same on the passenger side. You get your first storage compartment up here, as well as if you lift the second lever, because there's 2, you get the deeper storage compartment capacity. In addition to that, this tray here slides, so you can get access to the forward portion of the storage, as well as the back portion if it's in the forward position and you lift up the storage tray. You do get some USB and USB-C and on aux port right here as well. So you definitely get a nice amount of capacity, and they also have a USB port up in the top portion of the storage compartment as well. Now, my second dislike for this truck is going to have to be the side mirrors. Now, for 2023, it looks like Ram has finally potentially updated their side mirrors on these HD trucks. If you guys have not seen that, go Google it or go check it out. There's tons of videos and things out there that show you guys what they look like. But for me, you know, the side mirrors, you know, just aren't where I would like them to be. And let me explain. So what I dislike about these mirrors is in the vertical position is you flip them up and they stick out super, super far. And what would be really nice is that if, you know, they were more retractable, kind of like Ford, you know, the mirrors, you know, are vertical facing and you can extend them out when you're towing, and then you can pull them in when you're doing some, you know, kind of street and daily driving, and you don't need them out all the way. The other thing is the convex mirror. So when it's up in the tow position on these, it's nice. Convex mirror is at the bottom. So what I'll show you right here, so obviously mirrors are vertical, convex is on the bottom, and the normal mirror is on the top, which is perfect. The way I have my convex is the bottom mirror, you know, I can see my tire, I can see sort of the bed area of the truck in the back, you know, I can see my blind spot over here, which is nice for kind of lane shifting and crossing, and then the top part gives me that normal bit. Now, if I flip my mirrors down like this and then I adjust the convex, what happens is the convex would be displaying the same. You know, I'm not gonna do it right now, but typically you would see my rear tire, you would see the bed of the truck, and then this mirror would be the same. And the problem is when you're driving and you look at your side mirror, everything gets thrown off and feels backwards, because in the far left, you see the inside of your truck at a big part of the mirror. You see, you know, everything else, like the cars and the lane next to you and things like that. And for me, it's really, really annoying. So I should say this, I like the look of the mirrors that Ram has on their trucks. I think they're cool, they're pretty iconic, they have had them for a long time. But what I would have rather them do is keep the mirrors as is, the same, like the same look and all that, but just kept them in a vertical position with the option to extend out and retract in without having to flip them up and down or do any of that stupid goofy nonsense. So the third like that I have for this truck is gonna be the throttle response that the 6.4 Hemi gives. Merging onto the highway here, and I'll tell you what, one of the things that I love about this truck is just the sound that 6.4 Hemi makes, especially when you step on it and get on it a little bit. It just hums and it just has such a nice sound. Yeah. The throttle response on this thing is absolutely incredible. You know, you step on it and it goes. It puts the power to the wheels. You know, daily driving, you know, it's nice. You know, there is absolutely no lag getting out in traffic. I could step on it, you know, and, you know, this thing just moves and hauls. Even when I haul my trailer and my rock crawler, when that is, you know, kind of fully maxed out, we're probably about 9,000 pounds, which isn't a lot, you know, for this truck. And it's not a lot for this truck to handle at all. It can handle a lot more. But right about 9,000 pounds, you know, this thing goes, you know what I mean? It gets up to speed, maintains speed, you know, when I step on it, you know, and I'm on an incline, you know, doing a pretty decent grade, it, you know, just pulls, and it handles really, really nice for a gas V8 pickup truck. But for this truck, you know, I think that the throttle response is really, really where it needs to be. It's got the 8-speed transmission. It's really nice. It allows you to hang out in the gears if you need to. It allows you to switch through those gears pretty nicely, you know, so it is just a smooth ride. My third dislike for this truck would be the exhaust noise that comes from when you cold start this truck. So this is very notorious with the 6.4 Hemis. This is not just for the Ram 25 or 3500 trucks. This would be basically anything from the Dodge or the Ram lineup that has a 6.4 motor in it. They all do the same exact thing, and I've heard it on every single one of them. You can talk to people who've had it, you can YouTube it, you can talk to your local dealer. But basically, when you start this, you know, 6.4 up, for the first couple of minutes while the exhaust is warming up, it gives this slight little, it almost sounds like a belt squeal, like a loose belt or something like that. And it's kind of faint. It's not super loud, but you can hear it. And when you buy this new truck, and these things aren't cheap, you know, and you hear that, you're like, oh my God, what the heck is wrong with this thing? You know, and it just sounds like butt. So, you know, I wish, especially for as long as the 6.4 Hemi has been out, and it by no means has not been out for a long time, that they would have looked into that and figured out, you know, with their, you know, piping and their exhaust system, what harmonics is causing that noise. There's lots of different speculation if you look out on forums and from what dealers are saying and people are saying, you know, as to where the specifics of that harmonics is coming. Me personally, I don't care where it's coming from, because after a couple of minutes, once the truck warms up, the noise goes away and you don't hear it. It's just a shame that, you know, on these new trucks and for the money that you guys, including myself, spend on them, you know, after all these years, that they couldn't have looked and addressed something like that. So kind of maybe more quality control fail on Ram's part. Moving on, my fourth like for this truck would have to be the tow capacity that this 3/4 ton truck offers. So for this make, model, and accessory configuration, I have a max tow capacity of 14,200 pounds. It's slightly over. I underrated that a little bit. So for a 3/4 ton truck, that is a good amount for me and for what I am going to be using this truck for, which is, you know, going to be a lot of, you know, towing and trailering for, you know, my personal hobby and for personal fun. It'll be more than enough that I will need for towing with this vehicle. I do have plans, you know, down the line to upgrade the current trailer that I have to a smaller enclosed trailer and to just put some nice kind of creature comforts in there. And with that enclosed trailer and with what I will be putting into that trailer, as well as payload that I will be putting into it, I will still be under, you know, that max tow capacity, probably by a couple of thousand pounds. My fourth dislike for this vehicle is going to be the fuel consumption that this offers. I did not get this truck thinking in any way, shape, or form that, you know, it was going to be anywhere amazing on, you know, kind of fuel consumption, you know, and it was going to get crazy good, you know, MPG. But, you know, when you kind of maybe compare it to, you know, maybe some previous gas trucks and or diesel trucks especially, you know, I think that it is definitely worth noting that this truck sucks down gasoline, and it does it very quickly, and it does it even quicker when you are towing. So for this truck, you know, if I am doing strictly highway miles and I am cruising somewhere between 65 and 70 miles an hour on average, you know, I can do somewhere between 16 and 17 mpg, and that is purely if I am just driving on the highway and I see no city driving. Now where it really goes downhill is if you are strictly doing city driving and you are only, you know, kind of putting on city miles, you are not doing anything, you know, on the highway. This thing will do about 6 mpg, and it will suck your fuel down, and it just is even worse when you're sitting there at idle. Just to give you guys an average, and this is an average, you know, for me that I have used, you know, over the past 2 weeks, and it kind of has, I would say, a nice even split between some city driving, some highway driving, and kind of some bits in between. So this thing has averaged 12.8 mpg, so almost 13 miles per gallon. Not amazing, you know, definitely would have been nice to see it, you know, maybe more in the teens or something like that. But, you know, you have to take into account that, you know, it's splitting its time, you know, between, you know, highway and city. Now, depending on what you're going to be using it and doing it for, you know, obviously those numbers are going to change either for plus or minus. So that is just in my conditions that I've been driving it in. That is, you know, non-towing or any kind of payload. That is just strictly truck MPG all by itself. When I'm like fully loaded down and we're doing an off-road trip and we're going somewhere, you know, this thing averages about 10 mpg, and that's between highway and city driving. Obviously, a lot of that is going to be mostly highway based, but you know, that average drops down considerably. You know, I lose almost another 3 mpg once I start loading this vehicle. And if you get anywhere near, you know, I would say, you know, kind of max tow capacity with this rig, I imagine that number will go down tremendously more. So getting down to the end of likes and dislikes, my 5th and final like for this vehicle is going to be its ride quality. I specifically went with the 2500 versus the 3500 for the coil springs in the rear of this truck. Now, yes, I understand that seems very weird with an HD truck having coil springs versus leaf springs. But Ram, you know, for their 2500 lineup, they offer a stiffer rate coil spring. And what I will say is, if you are not doing a ton of towing, you know, or heavy payloads in the back of your truck, if you know, maybe are doing stuff, you know, a couple of times a month, you know, then the 3/4 ton, you know, 2500 with the coil springs, you know, might be the truck for you, just because it does give you a little bit of a more dampened and smoother rides, bumps, potholes, ride quality, steering, all that fun stuff. It's just a little bit nicer and a little bit more enjoyable. You know, you guys probably might be able to see one of the 2 car seats that I have in the back. I have kids in here often with me, and we'll just run around and we'll do some things, you know, as a family or whatever it is. And if we decide that we're gonna take this truck, it's just a nice ride. It's nice for me, it's nice for my wife, it's nice for my kids. Now, my 5th and final dislike for this truck is going to be the MDS system. So I do not like the MDS setting on this truck. I know they have it there so it can save you fuel. Does it really do it though? I've tested it out on this truck, you know, and sure, if you're doing some highway driving and it kicks in, you know, every now and then, because you really don't see it kicking at all when you're doing city driving. Maybe, you know, I've gotten like an extra mile per gallon. You know, it really depends on the day and the features, but I don't like it. You know, I find there to just be a slight lag as it flips over. I also dislike the sound when the MDS kicks on and it cuts the cylinders. It just sounds like a dog. The exhaust sounds, you know, really, really awful. And me personally, just from what I've read and heard on these engines, they're meant to run hard, you know, and I just don't feel for longevity of them. You know, that, you know, having the MDS, you know, for long periods of time, you know, kind of cut certain cylinders off so you can save some fuel consumption is wise. Me personally, I'd rather use 1 mpg less and turn off the MDS, which you can easily do on these vehicles. And the easiest way that I can show you is that, you know, on the steering wheel, you have the gear and the plus and minus. All you would have to do is basically have your vehicle in drive, and then you can select the gear, you know, by hitting the plus or the minus. So if I hit the minus, over here you'll see a 1, and then I can select all the way up to gear number 8, and that basically means that the vehicle will now shift all the way up to, you know, 8th gear. If I want to limit it and I only want the vehicle to shift as high as 6th gear, you know, I could drop it down to 6. But basically that will keep the MDS from turning on and turning off of your vehicle. Now, downer is that if you put your vehicle into reverse or you put your vehicle into park and then back into drive, you will have to do that all over again in order to disable the MDS. The only other time that the MDS will disable without doing that feature is if you hit the tow haul mode button on your cluster. So if I hit this tow haul mode button right here, basically that will also keep the MDS from kicking on this vehicle. After running around with this truck for a year, you know, yes, obviously I have some likes and I have some dislikes, but all in all, even with the dislikes, you know, they're not dislikes to the point that I would want to get rid of this truck, or that I'm sitting here and I'm like, I absolutely hate this truck. Even with the dislikes, I love this thing, you know. It's like, I just enjoy the truck, you know. It tows well, it daily drives well, It looks good in my opinion, especially with some of the, you know, more minor, you know, kind of custom things that I have done, which would be totally separate, you know, and not even, you know, part of this video, you know, but it's just all around, it's a great truck. It's a workhorse. It gets the job done for everything in a 3/4 ton truck class. I am totally stoked and happy. So yeah, but anyway guys, look, thanks for stopping by. I hope this review helped you guys out and gave you some good information. If you guys liked it, definitely be sure to give this thumbs up. Definitely be sure to give this channel a subscribe so you guys can stay up to date with all the content that I put out. And as always, have a great day. God bless, and catch you guys later.